Mate, this is
How
all
do you
coaching.
find other builders or like even guys on the call, how are they kind of funding their first development? So obviously they're getting the mortgage to buy the property. Then how are majority of people kind of when they're in like us starting out with that first development, how are they funding materials? Are they doing it cash? Do you suggest they get a business loan? How do most guys do that?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll clear a few things up. I would say no to like the business loan part. I would say no to the cash part. I would say no to doing things that are like dodgy or like roundabout ways, because it ends up biting you in the ass. Okay, and I'll tell a quick story, and then I'm going to get to the point. So, a guy up north that's a developer that I do a fair bit of kind of advice and stuff with. He pretty much just develops, and the way that he develops, and I mentioned this in last week's coaching, is he has one company that is the development company, and he has the other company which is the building company. And his his development company is the sole client for the building company, and that's just how it works, right? The profits get shifted over, and he can get finance using that. My point in telling you that is, if we don't keep everything kind of at arm's length, right, it bites you in the ass down the track when you want to go back to the bank and say, hey bank, we want to do our second development. Can you lend us, $1 million? And then they say, yeah, of course we can. Can we have a look at your financials? And then you show the financials, and there's absolutely sweet FA profit, right? Because you've either cashed it or you've put all the materials through the business. And so really the business looks like shit, but you've got this really profitable development. So the answer I'm going to give you is make everything look how it is really. That's the first thing. So in terms of financing it, look, there's ways to do it. There's construction loans, obviously, right, which you can get. There's potentially, if you've got equity, to pull out money and then use that to do the renovation or the development. But usually keep it simple, mate. And I think the simple bit is, like, the really simple way to think of it is, we need 20% deposit for the land, give or take, right? We buy the land. We need another 20% of cash, right, to then do the construction. And then that's how you'd do it. And it would be as simple as, ideally, the same lender that does the lend on the land, and then it would be the same lender that does the lend on the build, right? One would be for the purchase of the land, one would be for the construction. And it's as simple as that, right? And if you work on mentally like a 20% deposit for the land, 20% deposit for the construction loan, that's a great start. Some people do it a little different. They'll kind of, for their first, they'll buy the land, and then as they get the cash, they'll kind of just do the renovation as they go until they realize enough equity, and then they can start to play with it. But I think what I would be doing if I was you, I would just be going, look, boys, we know what profit we've got to hit. We know how quickly we need to hit it. We need enough to get the land done, and then we need enough to effectively have 20%, so we can get lent 80% based on our good servicing and our good profitability. I think that's a good way to play it.
Yeah, sweet. That makes sense. Thank you.
That's all right, mate. And then it just comes to what you want to do on it as well. Because if you want to put, you want to buy for 750 and you want to put a 300K reno in it, I think the best way to do it is really just get your 2023s done solid, which we've spoken about. Have enough cash, and that comes from the profit, to get the land, and then keep that aggressive nature of making good profit, putting good money into the bank account, and then the bank's giving you that extra capital based on the 80% to then do the construction, right? So it's just keeping it simple, mate. Make as much profit as you possibly can in a short amount of time. Get the cash in the bank, and then we'll get this done.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah. So sometimes I think people get confused. They're like, oh, is the land and the construction, are they based on different principles? They're not. They're effectively the same. It's like the bank are more favorable towards land because it's something tangible, right? But given the fact that you boys are builders, etc., some lenders, I should say, just go off the same principle. Give us 20%, we'll give you 80. That's our security, right? So I think if you keep mindful of that, we're good.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. And in saying that as well, just final comment on this is, let's say you mentally was like, cool, whatever our land acquisition in our build is, we just need to put that as a total and then come up with 20% of that, or shoot towards 20% of that. That's a great initial strategy. Because then you just say to the banker, look, we've got a stamp duty exemption, we've got 20% for the land, we've got another 20% for the build, and we're good to go. But if you can't get to that and you want to find the land sooner than later, you just go 20% land, and then we'll keep saving for the 20% for the construction loan, and then we'll get the second part of the finance. So that's kind of...
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
So key action, mate.
Mate, I need to, just that last little bit that you just said, that's awesome. I'm just going to figure out exactly what the 20% look like. And then that gives us the figure, which we kind of already know, but I just get a bit clearer on that now that I know that, construction loan is 20%. That's good as well. That was kind of a learning for me, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, if you can get even high, like I use the word some lenders, some will want higher. They'll only want to put in 75%, meaning you got to come up with 25%. So maybe just so your calcs are running strong, I would go a bit higher than 20 to give yourself a bit of buffer. I would shoot for like 25, right? I would shoot for 25 on the land and the build. Okay. And I think that's gonna put you in a level of safe haven. But remember, if you only have enough for the land and the opportunity is there, just get the land, right? That's the hardest part. Location, and then work on the next 20, 25% for the build.